Welcome, everyone, to Whiting High School. We are live for Region Football Weekly. Michael Brander here along with the sports director, Mike Dewan. Mike, always a pleasure to work with you.
Always a pleasure. We're Friday Eve, as we call it. We're going to have a lot of fun here tonight.
Yeah, there should be a lot of fun. Region Football Weekly live on location. We're at Whiting High School this week. One of the first times I've ever been, I can't remember a time I've ever been to Whiting High School, so kind of fun to get walking through the facilities a little bit. I drove over to the stadium just to kind of check things out, see how practice was going, and then met you guys over here. It's exciting.
Right. Whiting is a super cool spot. A field that is absolutely awesome. A field I got to play on. I only remember the trains going right across, right by the field. You kind of have to put an over-under on how many trains because there's so many throughout the entirety of the game. So that's always a fun field. First time I'm in the high school as well. We just walked around the gym a little bit. I didn't know that was, you kind of knew, but it's one of the older gyms in the area, one of the bigger gyms in the area. It's super cool, and obviously it's great to be here. Yeah,
I mean, the trains going by, it's kind of like when Mike Dewan was playing, just train right through everybody, trucking everybody down.
Couldn't agree more.
Oh, absolutely. All right, we got Region Football Weekly. We had a very exciting Week 6. You and I got to sit in studio and kind of check out some of the games as they were going on. One of the ones that we were keeping an eye on was that River Forest and Boone Grove game, which ended up being a pretty good thriller. It was close the entire game and ended up going to overtime. But in the end, it was Boone Grove with a 1-point win, 32-31 over River Forest. How did it happen?
It was a slugfest. It always seems to kind of be that way in the GSSC, and these two teams that are, of course, very familiar with each other. But these were two teams, again, they kind of put a lot of points up in the second half. Two great playmakers on both sides, both sidelines, I should say, starting off with Aiden Silver of River Forest. 300-plus total yards of offense, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers on his end. They got the leading tackler over there for River Forest, Michael Turner. He had 20 tackles. But Boone Grove, again, Mark Rowland, he had their quarterback 200 total yards, 3 touchdowns, also had the game-winning 2-point conversion that you saw in our electrifying plays. They just, again, made a couple more plays, and especially when you get to overtime, it's another heartbreaker there for River Forest that it's their second game in a row that they lost by 3 points or less. The week before, they played a very good Griffith team, who we'll talk about later in this show, and Griffith orchestrated a minute drive to score late in the fourth quarter. They won that game by 3, and then River Forest, still a great football team, but shout out to Boone Grove to go to River Forest, a tough place to play, and get the win there. A game-winning 2-point conversion, again, by Mark Rowland, who didn't really start too much at quarterback to start the year. He's a great quarterback for them. They were kind of, I don't know if he was injured or whatnot, but he's playing well right now, and you need a player like that to win games like that.
Yeah, so second win in a row for Boone Grove over River Forest. River Forest had the last couple of meetings before that in previous years, but second win in a row for Boone Grove over River Forest in the regular season. Another one that we were really kind of, we had circled down and were questioning a little bit, and really it didn't get going until the latter part of the game. It started late, and then we didn't see any scoring until late in that game. But Chesterton and Portage, I don't know if we got the answers we were looking for, but another solid outing for Chesterton, getting the win 10-6.
Somebody had to score, and it took all of 3 quarters and about a half until Chesterton struck first. Again, they're still trying to kind of figure out their identity. When you lose your quarterback for the season, that is, although Chesterton's a very big running team, that is not easy to do. That is not easy to bounce back from when you have a new leader in your huddle. Granted, of course, it's your teammate, and you probably know him well, but it's kind of different when it's your starting quarterback. So Chesterton to go in there and beat a Portage team that's, again, had pretty much a solid year. It's a much different team from what we've seen from last year's Portage squad. It's been tough sledding for them as of late. But Chesterton, they struck first with a field goal, then Owen Edlin, their fantastic defensive end, had a 55-yard scoop and score there to put them up by 10. That was all that really needed. Portage came back and scored. But Chesterton 4-2. I did not really expect this. I know this was kind of a team that did not have a year up to their standards, but kudos to them so far. 4-2. It's one of their better starts we've seen through these past few seasons.
Well, one thing that I've talked about that Chesterton has this. When you talk about consistency when it comes to your coaching staff, you have a coach that's been there for many years, over a decade. There is something to be said for that because knows how the program works and obviously can kind of get guys in the right position. So when somebody goes down, knows how to get those guys back in line. And so that consistency, I think, makes a difference. And that's why Chesterton is, where they're at right now and looking forward here. they got a matchup against Lake Central this week. We'll talk about that, but I mean, they're in good position to kind of continue that winning streak. I know it was a tough one against Valpo, very close game 2 weeks ago, but we'll see what happens going forward. But I like the makeup of this team, despite the fact that their starting quarterback goes out.
Yeah, and they're going to compete for 4 quarters again. You brought up that Valparaiso game, the game that they lost in overtime. They took a very good Valparaiso team to overtime. That is not easy to do. We'll talk about Valpo a little bit later, but I mean, that's still a very talented team over there in Chesterton. That was the first game without their starting quarterback, so that makes things so much harder. They got a great running back in the backfield over there, Andrew Govia. They run the football over there, and if you got a guy like that in your backfield, they'll be okay.
All right, moving on. We had a good matchup over in St. John. You had Michigan City. That was over in. That was at Michigan City, I believe. Yep, that was at Michigan City. So Michigan City gets to win at 20-14 over Lake Central. That one was another one where it was Michigan City really all game, and then Lake Central kind of in those final minutes just turned it on a little bit too late, getting 2 scores late in that game, though almost coming back and getting that tying opportunity or even a win.
Sure. I mean, they had, again, that final drive like you mentioned. I mean, City, they got out to a 20-0 lead in the first half, did not score in the third quarter, but still kept it at that 20-0 lead. And as much as I got to give respect to Michigan City, Lake Central scored 2 touchdowns in a matter of about a minute and a half. They scored and then had an onside kick, got the ball back, scored, and they had a real chance to win it. That shows a lot of fight from this Lake Central team, but Michigan City, they get the job done. They win the first 3 quarters. Sometimes if you lose the fourth quarter, that's sometimes a death sentence, but that's kind of just scraped them by. But the big story in this game, Michigan City found the quarterback 10.5 times, 10.5 sacks, we'll call there. Adrian Holly, I want to say, had 3.5. It was and 3 by Jalen Merriweather as well. I mean, they have a very, very stout defense, and they were giving that Lake Central offensive line plenty of fits in that game over there.
So tough night for Cam Reddick, but Lake Central got Chesterton this week. I know you'll be on the call for that one, but we'll talk about that one a little bit later. Another one that we had right here on the Region Sports Network, Crown Point and Valparaiso. I think everyone kind of had that one penciled or almost penned in as a Crown Point win and to pretty much run through the Duneland. But at the same time, you're thinking maybe Valpo can put up a pretty good game for them. Wasn't the case. It's just too much Crown Point. Just kind of goes to show you how good this team really is.
Yeah, it's really scary. And again, I was hopeful for Valparaiso. I mean, they're still a great team.
Oh yeah,
great. I mean, they're led by a great coach. They got again great players over there and players that are growing throughout the course of the year. But Crown Point is just. Again, there's not much more you could really say through this parts of the season. They have rinsed and repeat. They're on their way to potentially another Duneland title, and there's no stopping them. I mean, reading some of these streaks, I put these in the top 10 list, but Crown Point, this was all grabbed from their X page, we'll call it now. They not Twitter anymore. They call it X. Yes. But 24-game regular season winning streak, which I believe that is now the most in the area. I believe Hanover had that last before they lost to Chittard this year, which that's a pretty big loss. But, we'll move from that. 18-game Duneland winning streak. I want to say that's, of course, the longest in the conference. Might be the longest by any conference in the area. I think we could safely say that. And then a 15 straight road wins. That is not easy to do. To go on the bus all the time and get wins like that, then they've only trailed for 1 minute and 17 seconds in 2024. They are a number 1 team, to say the absolute least, and they're showing it week in and week out.
Rinse and repeat. That's what Mike does with his hair. That's why it looks so fine on a regular basis. And we'll be taking a quick little timeout. Speaking of fine, we got to look at that home improvement top 10 coming up on the other side of the break, so make sure you stay tuned for that. We'll have more here on the Region Sports Network from the Region Football Weekly on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
At Notre Dame Federal Credit Union, you're going to come in and you're going to have somebody who truly cares about you sitting across from the desk. We want to help you. We want to make sure that everything you need from a financial perspective is answered with the knowledge that you're making the right decision for your family.
Here we understand that life happens sometimes, and we all work together to find the best solution that fits your financial situation. Feel free to stop by or give us a call.
When life keeps you busy and you can't get to the store, shop online with Strachan Van Til To Go. Our to-go service is easy to use. Register using your rewards account information, fill your virtual cart, and choose delivery or pickup. Once your order is in, our own Strachan Van Til team preps your order with care. With our to-go service, you can earn reward points and save time and money with our online coupons and weekly ad prices. Life made simple, shopping made easy. For more information or to sign up, visit shop.strachanvantil.com.
Hi, I'm Crowell Company's Lantern Man. For years, I've helped your family and friends save on their car insurance. And now I've returned to rescue you from high prices. Whether you have a perfect driving record or a not-so-perfect record. Follow me to the Crowell Agency for immediate and affordable coverage. I'm your insurance superhero. Crowell Company's insurance professionals. Highland, Merrillville, and Michigan City.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
Old Man Winter is just around the corner, and that means temperatures will soon begin to drop. And a region winter is not the time to be left out in the cold. The professionals at Economy Electric Heating and Cooling can tune up that old furnace or install a new unit that can last for years. Your family deserves to stay comfortable this winter, and with 24/7 emergency service, comfort is just a phone call away. Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, 219-923-4441. Or for more info, the website is forajobdoneright.com.
Tech Checking Plus from Tech Credit Union offers everything you'd expect from a checking account. Plus, you'll earn one of their best dividend rates for maintaining a higher account balance. Currently, 4.85% annual percentage yield. No need to choose between easy access to funds or earning a better dividend. Tech Checking Plus gives you both. Visit techcu.org, contact any branch, or call 800-276-8324 to learn more. Tech Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA. Rates may change without notice.
Have you checked out Centier Bank's student checking account? This no-fee checking account is perfect for students and teens ages 14 to 24 and comes with all the features you need to succeed, such as a debit card, digital banking, and automatic deposit. Centier Bank can help you start establishing good spending habits today for your better tomorrow. For more information, visit Centier.com/student-checking or visit your local branch. If you are under the age of 18, your parent or guardian must also sign on the Centier student checking account. At the age of 25, your account will automatically convert to the Centier checking account. You must deposit $25 to open this account. This account is not eligible for overdraft advantage. Member FDIC.
Welcome back to Region Football Weekly here on the Region Sports Network, live on site from Whiting High School. Michael Brenner here along with the sports director, Mike DeWan. Before we go any further, we want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Ixa Coffee Roasters, located right here in Whiting, owned by Whiting alum Jose Marin. So thank you, Jose, for helping to make the show possible. And I run on coffee. That is my lifeblood right there.
Guy, man.
Oh, I am a coffee guy when it comes to that. So thank you very much to Mr. Marin for helping us out today and making this show possible. And now we're going to look at the Enigenberg Home Improvement Top 10. We're going to start with some of your bubble teams, Mike, or teams that you were recommended to the committee to be bubble teams.
Sure. So we got it's a pretty big group over there.
This is a lot of bubble teams. Holy cow!
I think this is the most bubble teams we've had.
And there's a lot of teams that the committee just can't decide.
I guess not. It's I don't know, but it's there's a lot of teams that are worth noting, and there's kind of why we put a bubble, because there's some of these teams that it's kind of almost like, I don't want to call it a second chance, but hey, you got a game this week, and hey, if you win, you have a chance to stay in the bubble and maybe even move up.
Yeah, all right. Let's first look at, you got a team like Boone Grove, got a big win this week.
Right.
And so they're on the outside looking in, but certainly got a lot of good quarterback play over there.
Sure.
So one of the top teams to keep an eye on, maybe that are just outside the bubble, trying to fight their way in.
Yeah, they were kind of the first team. I mean, they weren't in our bubble last week, and obviously to do that, go to River Forest and beat a very good team over there they're kind of on the outside looking in. Completely. They're the first team out, I'd say. Yep. And hey, if they take care of business this week, I want to say they play a team we're going to be very familiar with tonight. But if they take care of business, they could find themselves back in the top 10. But a lot of these teams that we kind of see were familiar faces, but kind of the bottom half of this leaderboard has been just kind of a revolving door so far this year.
All right, another team to keep an eye on that are just outside that top 10. A team that didn't score last week, but we got them outside or just outside that top 10 is Westside.
Yeah, it was, again, Westside's kind of been hanging out around there. They were kind of in that spot where Boone Grove is, where they were kind of just knocking on the door, hoping to get in. And they played Wheeler relatively well. Wheeler's been scoring points like crazy, which they still kind of did, but I got to give kudos to Westside that they're still going to compete, and I still like them going forward. They're still kind of in that position where, hey, if they take care of business, we're kind of giving them a second chance. Obviously, they play a very good Griffith team, so if they take care of business there or at least compete, they could stick around. But obviously, again, a 41-0 loss to Wheeler, not great. They competed pretty well. They didn't get into that running. It wasn't like the typical blowouts we see every, that took them all 4 quarters. On Westside, always a team to look out for, especially moving forward.
Yeah, and we were watching that one too because we had that right here on the Region Sports Network, and they were moving the ball. It wasn't like it was just a dominant performance. The score doesn't really reflect how indicative of where that game really was in our opinion. So moving on down the line, you have a team that was in the top 10 last week, has moved out of the top 10 now, and that is the Lake Central Indians.
Yeah, got to give again, it was tough sledding going to Ames Field, playing a tough team, and there was a team, Lake Central obviously got off to a little bit of a rough start, and obviously they showed a lot of fight there in the fourth quarter. But then when you lose to a team like in Michigan City, kind of in that fashion, going down 20-0, we're going to see in kind of the bottom half of that top 10 list. Michigan City's kind of taking their place. Spoiler alert, but that's what's going to happen in this list. Again, if you fall to a team that's below you, especially within your conference, you're going to get bumped. You're going to get bumped down and basically replaced.
All right, so I want to double check real quick. So we've got. Right before Lake Central, there is that a mistype right there?
I believe so.
Okay,
yeah,
I just want to make sure. I don't want to skip anybody, but I want to make sure. And then behind
the
Lake,
last two are correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I'm double checking with the committee. Got this the way they wanted. But the other one is a team that again put up a very hard fight towards Boone Grove, but River Forest hanging out just on the outside.
Yeah, it was again similar situation. Kind of you're in a position where a team below you that I don't know if I'd say River Forest was expected to win, but we know this would be a close game and another game that just slips out of their grasp. We like them going forward, still 3-3. That might be tough to win their division now. That game against Boone Grove could have really been for the GSSC North, and dropping a game like that hurts, especially against a great Griffith team the week prior. But they're still a team to look out for, a very talented roster.
All right, last one is the Morton Governors.
Yeah, took a little vacay last week from what I saw. Did not play. From what I saw, which, I mean, again, you got to kind of find those non-conference opponents. We see a similar situation like Hammond Central. They went across the border and played Andrew over there in Illinois. So it's tough to find guys. And
Thunderbolts.
Yeah, right. But more, and I still like them going forward. I think, again, they're still the favorites in their conference. I'd like to say it's a small conference, but a very talented roster, and they play their cross-city rival coming up here tomorrow night. A lot to look forward to for that game. There are a lot of great rivalries around the region, but that's one to look out for. Morton, still all the talent in the world, finally got on the board. Got in the win column. Good to see that from that squad.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this official top 10 brought to you by Enigenberg Home Improvement. So the committee has decided that the big win against Lake Central has moved the Chesterton Trojans into that number 10 spot.
Yeah, again, it was just kind of who kind of falls. I mean, who loses in front of them? And Chesterton, again, is a team that, they scraped by, not too much. In not a great fashion against Portage, we could say that. It took them 3 quarters and a half to really get going. But again, the teams in front of them that kind of fall, they're kind of the next man up. Again, we see the West Side that was kind of knocking on the door. They lose. Chesterton was kind of in that bubble spot, and River Forest also loses. Boone Grove could very well be in this 10 spot, but we'll give it to Chesterton here. Just the fight they've been showing these past few weeks. Again, that was an impressive loss against Valparaiso.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a chance to watch that, and again, early on in that game, before they even scored, they were moving the ball very well. So it wasn't that they were totally ineffective without their quarterback. There was a lot happening, which is what opened the door for that scoring and coming so close against their rivals, the Valparaiso Vikings. But we move on to number 9, and that is the Michigan City Wolves.
Michigan City, a ferocious defense. I want to say I saw before this, Adrian Holly, the defensive end going to Kansas, is tied for the state lead in sacks. You get a guy like that in Duneland, that is a very pass-heavy kind of conference around here. you'll be all right. Michigan City has lost a couple close games. Again, a 2-4 record that is not very pretty, but they beat Chesterton, which the committee kind of takes into account when ranking this. And it's, if you kind of win those head-to-head matchups, again, that kind of puts you in a better spot a little bit. And I think there's kind of some discourse that we'll kind of talk about later of why teams are in certain spots. I can kind of go into this now, but you look at like college football in the rankings. Of course, you're competing for one trophy. All right. Now in high school football, there's 6 different trophies.
Right.
There's the classes. So of course, you look at why Griffith or something, a school is higher that is bigger, or let's say a school that is bigger in class size is lower. And it's, a team like Chesterton or Michigan City could probably beat maybe a Wheeler team that's ranked above them. And kind of breaking down through this list, why teams are in this spot is, of course, there's the head-to-head aspect, of course, but kind of what you're doing pound-for-pound level. And there's also, you got to take into account the strength of schedule a little bit. Now, of course, you're in that class, you're in 5A, 6A, whatever that may be, but if you're kind of falling behind, or if you're playing maybe lesser classes or whatever, we take that into account a little bit. So as we go up the board, which, again, Valparaiso, one of those teams that lost this week, Griffith, a big-time win. It's, I don't know, looking at Griffith's previous schedule, they got a tough schedule coming up, which I'm very intrigued about, that we'll talk about in a little bit. But it's kind of going to the ranking of this and seeing, again, some of these bigger schools finally creep back in because they're still competing at a high level. And they, again, looking at the head-to-head matchups in these top 10s, again, Michigan City could probably stand toe-to-toe with Wheeler or Griffith. That's just not how we're going to rank them.
Well, one of those schools that tends to play a bigger schedule compared to their class size is our number 8 team, and that is the Andrean 59ers. So they always say it's a 2A school, but not a 2A schedule. So they play up a little bit. I mean, they start their season against, I believe, Maryville and Valpo? Is that
not easy? Right.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, you're going against the 2 Duneland schools and 2 of the top 3 Duneland schools in the area. So, not an easy way to start. But then you get into NCC play, and even then, it's still very competitive in the NCC for them.
Which is also worth taking into account, too, a little bit. Again, they were ranked in our top 5 before that tough loss against Hobart. And again, we're going to talk about Hobart not too long after this, but this is still a very, very talented roster. They're a high-end team in the NCC. Obviously, losing a game against Hobart like that in that fashion took them to overtime. That's not easy to do. They got Hanover Central coming up, not this week, but in a few weeks as well. That's going to be one to look out for. But Andrean, still a very talented roster, and especially a team to look out for come the 2A playoffs, which, again, they're only playing up so far. I think their whole schedule, they have not played a team at or below the 3A level. So once they hit the 2A, it's okay. All right. Now we're hopefully kind of get things going. They still got to finish out the year. They got a big test tomorrow, but they're going to get ready for playoffs, of course, as they always seem to do.
All right. Well, a team that you cannot forget is the Hobart Brickies coming in at number, where are we at?
7.
7, yeah.
The Brickies, yes, they are, again, they've been playing some great football as of late. They've been scoring a lot of points and playing some great defense. They could run the football as well as, again, their quarterback always seems to grow. Alex Tatum, only a sophomore. Eric Schreiber got some things going well over there. A program that they got a big game tomorrow night. They're hoping to take back the conference. Now one of 2 undefeated teams within the conference. We'll be excited for that one come tomorrow.
Yeah, can't wait for it. And then moving up on the line, number 6, you got the Wheeler Bearcats.
Yeah, we're going to see some familiar names going. The top 8 of this list actually stayed the same in that same spot. So, I mean, Wheeler, again, kind of rinse and repeat again as I do with my hair. As you mentioned, it is they just, again, they score points and they play good defense, complimentary football. Not much more you could say. Nick Tessa does a great job over there. Caleb Klimzak, the leading passer. Spoiler alert, we got our peak performers coming out a little bit later. He is the leading passer. He also has the leading receiver over there in Bryce Compton. They throw the football just as well as anybody does, especially at the 2A level.
All right, moving up the line, and I was curious to see where the committee would go this week. Would they give love to the Griffith Panthers and move them up into 4? But it looks like the committee wants to keep them at number 5.
So, yeah, that was definitely the topic of discussion, and we kind of asked around. I think we even talked about it. We kind of talked about it around the studio, and Griffith has played fantastic football, just dominating so far, but kind of looking at the combined record, although they're playing some teams up, especially in that non-conference kind of part of their schedule, they've kind of played some opponents, and again, that's no disrespect to Griffith. You got to play who's on your schedule and who's in your conference, but things kind of heat up for them real quick. There's a lot of prove-it games coming up, and these last 3 weeks obviously decide. Of course, they're one of the 2 undefeated teams in the area, but of course they want to win their conference, and they play a great Wheeler Bearcat team week 9. They got to go. They play Gary Westside coming up as well. I mean, it does not end easy for Griffith. These are teams that at least have better records on paper. They got to get the job done, but they're going to stick here at 5 again. It's no disrespect to, again, they don't deserve it. I mean, they're just doing their job, and sometimes you can look at the guys above you. It's tough to, again, punish who's in our 4th spot, Valparaiso, that plays a Crown Point team that has done nothing but dominate.
Correct. Now, if you do want to chime in on this Enigenberg Home Improvement Top 10, Rich Castillo is accepting emails on input into this Top 10, so make sure you email him all those questions. We'll get you that email on the other side of the break, which is coming up in just a few minutes. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to move a team like Valpo. Like you said, you play the number 1 team in the area that is undefeated and, I mean, just rolling through competition. It's hard to punish a Valpo team and move them down. So I can understand why we keep the Valparaiso Vikings at number 4.
And it was kind of, again, the same case with Maryville, who's been kind of stuck in that. I think they might have moved down a spot, maybe. I kind of say they were kind of teetering with Hanover a little bit. I'm giving a little bit of spoilers, but these have been some familiar faces.
Man,
and kind
all
of,
the spoilers.
Again, running into a team like Crown Point, it is just not easy. It's not been easy sledding so far, and a lot of respect to go out there, but it was a tough decision, to say the least.
So I know one guy that's not going to be working for the FBI anytime soon.
Never.
All right, coming in at number 3, you've got the Maryville Pirates coming in. You know, this is a team that, you know, they take that loss against Crown Point, but they are just a very consistent team all season long.
Yeah, looking at Valparaiso and Maryville, again, 2 5A teams that we'll talk about a little bit later, but it's fun to see kind of how they respond back because, again, we kind of saw this last year with the Crown Point and how great they did in the regular season. Both these teams responded pretty, you know, with flying colors. They did great things moving at the end of the season, obviously getting ready for the playoffs. And, you know, for Maryville's sake, again, they could run the football and play defense. I say it every week, but it is more than true. They have a talented roster, a talented coach over there as well. Again, much kudos to those guys over there at Maryville, hoping to end their season on a high note, getting ready for the 5A playoffs.
Speaking of solid coaches, we go to the Lake Show now at number 2, and that is Hanover Central.
Hanover now one of 2 undefeated teams in the NCC. It was Hobart, like I mentioned. They are going to meet tomorrow night. We're going to talk about that game a little bit. But that game, again, it's Hanover's. They're becoming the new kids on the block. They're well known, we should say, now in the NCC. They just play complementary football, great offense, great defense, and, of course, like you said, a great coaching staff over there that get those guys right, get them ready to go. And, obviously, the new standard of Hanover football. Yep. They've won a lot of GSSC titles. Now the NCC is looking to be theirs as well.
All right, and then coming in at number 1, this will surprise nobody but the Crown Point Bulldogs.
Yeah, I don't really have much, man. Another running clock against a very solid 5A team. Again, you literally run out of things to say. Just got to give a big congratulations again, Coach Buzz. 250 wins. None of that really happens, I'd say, without a good coach on your sidelines, and everything kind of trickles down to the players. He'll tell you otherwise. He'll tell you that, of course, there's a lot that goes into it. Not just him. Of course, he might get a lot of praise. There's a lot of people that go around and that should deserve as much praise as he does. But 250 wins, that's no joke. It starts with him and Crown Point. They're clicking on all cylinders right now.
All right, well, we're going to get that email for Rich Castillo here on the other side of the break so that way we can bring you so that way you can chime in on that home improvement top 10. I'm going to grab me some Eeksa coffee here in just a little bit. And we're going to take a quick step aside. You are watching Region Football Weekly live from Whiting High School on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Four Seasons Mechanical proudly serves Northwest Indiana, providing quality, reasonably priced, reliable service. With a quality and comfort guarantee, the professionals at Four Seasons Mechanical offer a wide range of services in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Whether it's residential or commercial, Four Seasons Mechanical is there 24/7. To find out more, the website is fourseasonsmechanical.com or give them a call at 219-756 7020. Four Seasons Mechanical, your indoor air quality specialists.
Earn while you learn from the best hands in the business. The Bricklayers Allied Craft Workers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. That's right, this is a paid apprenticeship.
I'm getting an education while learning a trade and getting paid for it.
The thing that surprised me the most about this apprenticeship program is the respect I have received after the proper time and training.
Classes start soon, so apply now. There are training centers throughout Indiana and Kentucky. We are the Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. The best hands in the business.
Flip the switch, a light turns on. Press the button, machines and instruments come to life. Touch the screen, communicate with the world. Simple tasks, guaranteed results, every second of every day. That's the power of power. And that's the power brought to you by the NECA contractors and electrical workers of Local 531.
We love home internet from T-Mobile. Oh, now Mesh boosts Wi-Fi all over your home. Taking a class in your attic, that dead spot is gone. Stream ballet in your man cave, learn to paint on your lawn.
He's glorious.
And now on the road, you can take T-Mobile Wi-Fi with you. Hey, stay connected and watch what you'll do.
Better Beef of Indiana. Hormone-free, locally raised, and locally processed beef. Better Beef of Indiana is located in Valpo at 2600 Beach Street, where you could buy individual cuts of beef completely raised in Hebron. From single pounds of ground beef to filet mignon, Better Beef of Indiana has it all. Visit their website at betterbeefindiana.com. Follow them on Facebook or call the owner, Kevin, directly at 219-508-5797. Better Beef of Indiana, where quality meets value.
Blythe's Team Sports in Valparaiso is a leader in athletics apparel and equipment sales. With in-house production including screen printing, trophies, embroidery, and more, Blythe's can help you to create the perfect look. For more information, visit them online at teamblythes.com. Blythe's Team Sports in Valparaiso, where the athletes shop.
Some see a student athlete working hard in the weight room. We see a future leader learning there are no shortcuts to success. Some see a start to a swim meet. We see the starting blocks for life. Proud to keep education in front of athletics since 1903.
Hey, welcome back. We got more for Region Football Weekly right here on the Region Sports Network, live from Whiting High School. Here with the sports director, Mike DeWan. We have a little note behind us that says, "Smile, you're on camera." That's more for Rich Castillo, who's behind the mic, who's behind the camera.
We get that
right now.
email yet too? We still got to.
Oh, I think it's like something like that. We'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll get it. He refused to give it to us.
We got another show after this too. We'll talk.
That's
about
true.
That
yeah,
later.
we got plenty of time. We'll put him on the air. He actually has a headset on. He can talk if we really want him to. Can we turn him on? No? He doesn't want to be on. No. All right. But you know what is on is we got to give a special shout-out to Eeksa Coffee Roasters, located right here in beautiful Whiting, owned by Whiting alum Jose Marin. A big thank you to Jose for helping out to make this show possible, making it run, get the energy, the caffeine, which we definitely need. I definitely need after dealing with kids all day, so middle schoolers, so definitely need that extra little boost of energy.
Amen.
But let's go ahead and take a look at the meat of the matter. Let's take a look at our games coming up this week. One of those top ones. Going to get a share of the NCC title at least. You got a big matchup between Hanover and Hobart this week.
2 versus 7 in our Enigenberg home improvement top 10. Like you said, a lot of implications here in the NCC. Of course, Hanover Central, we know what they did last year. Circled the wagons, went through that entire NCC conference in their first season within the NCC and took care of business. Hobart, who got off to a pretty shaky start to the season, has since turned tables and obviously won 4 straight. Both these teams obviously undefeated within the conference, meeting up at this time in the season. A lot of implications here, of course. Like you said, the winner gets at least a share. It was an absolute classic last year in Cedar Lake. 31-26 in favor of the Wildcats, but there is a lot of star power on both sides of the ball for all these teams. Again, Hobart has an offense that is improving. I mentioned Alex Tatum. I mentioned Willie Shear, who's a guy that does it all for them. He's a guy that they didn't have in the first parts of the season that they love having back. He's a touchdown scoring machine as well as he could play defense as well. Luke Jarris is a fantastic O-lineman. One of the awesome things about Hobart when I'm looking at their statistics is that they put pancake blocks on there in max preps, and a name that always pops up there, I'd say he gets at least about 5 a game as Luke Jarris. So shout out to those big boys up front. Obviously, if you want to run the football, you need some guys getting pancake blocks, and Luke Jarris is a name that always seems to pop up there. He was an RSN second teamer, I think, last year as well. But Hanover, they got a lot of star power over there as well on that side of the ball offensively and just all over the field. I mean, Dylan Bowen, he's a guy they could put just about anywhere. He's up there on the tackling leaderboards, and of course, he's got some great genetics over there. Tommy Bonner's their great quarterback, coming home from St. Rita and done a tremendous job in his senior season. Rocco Bartolomeo is a fantastic two-way guy, and Caden Verrett is arguably the top running back in the area. Maybe he could be one of the top running backs in the state. He's that good. One to look out for there, and I think it's going to be a game. Again, the meat of the matter, sponsored by Better Beef, it's just something where you got to limit mistakes, and you got to capitalize. It's as simple as that. It's not going to be a high-scoring game. We saw last year 31-26. Again, it's a decent amount of points, but that's something that, again, if a play goes one way, a play goes another way, that's going to decide the game.
All right, well, I imagine it's going to be loud and energized over
That's
there
for sure.
This week. Another one, and a team that's still kind of looking to they're undefeated, but they're also kind of looking to maybe move up in that RSN poll, and that is the Griffith Panthers taking on Westside.
Yeah, there hasn't really been a team that has been as dominant maybe as the Griffith Panthers. Looking at some of their stats, 45.2 points per game, only giving
That's
up
pretty good.
only giving up just over a touchdown so far.
That's
so
okay.
it has been per game.
Yeah.
So obviously that's a
fine.
recipe for success, which is why they got out to the 6-0 start. Again, is their best start since 2006, since of course the Russ Radke era over there at Griffith. And this is the game though, you can't look ahead. This is one of the better, I'd say, opponents that Griffith has played. River Forest was a great game. Again, they showed they could win the games close, but Westside, again, we know they could run the football. They're going to chew that clock, and they might be maybe more on the one-dimensional side. They can throw the football, but they're going to try and limit opportunities for a Griffith offense that is led by Ryan Bouillon, a sophomore quarterback, and they got a lot of playmakers on the outside as well as some runners as well. And I think if you're Westside going into this game, you want to limit opportunities they have to score.
All right, moving on down the line, a game that you will see right here on the Region Sports Network. Number 6 Wheeler over at Calumet. Both teams 4-2. Someone's got to get that 5th win of the year, and I know one guy that's going to be rooting hard for one of these teams here this week. I'm not going to reveal too much. Justin Cole and Calumet.
Calumet, a sneaky 4-2 start. I was going to say when I was kind of prepping for this game, looking kind of see more stats on this game, to see Calumet 4-2, got to give kudos. Again, these are two coaches in their second year, and again, we kind of harped about it a lot on RSN Zone, but that first year is kind of a learning curve, I'd like to say, for coaches.
Correct.
It is something that you have to, it may not be a solid record in your first year, but then as the second year comes around, then things start to click. And we're seeing right now, again, Charles Salyer of Calumet doing a great job, a young, energetic coach that, again, I when I was able to talk with him this summer, very optimistic about this team. And they got a lot of playmakers over there. Again, Calumet, Jalen Hilliard, who's a top runner over there, Corey Ferguson, Eric Allen, Javon Lawrence, a lot of guys to note over there. But Wheeler has been playing some great, great football, as many teams are, as we've talked about within this show. But they put a lot of points on the board. Caleb Klimzak, again, the top passer in the area, throwing to a receiver who is, again, the top receiver in the area by yardage. So that's a great recipe to have. They like to score the ball quick. They can get chunk plays. And Calumet, again, you have to limit those. You got to give yourself chances to score, because this Wheeler offense, they're just clicking. They're clicking on all cylinders, and again, got to give kudos to what they're doing over there.
Justin Cole has been on the phone with Vegas the entire time you were talking. He's trying to get that line to see how he can put down on Calumet in this game, so he'll let us know in just a few moments once he's off the phone with Vegas. Another matchup that we're going to see right here on the Region Sports Network. You're going to be there for this one. You got number 10 Chesterton taking on the Lake Central Indians. Little interesting matchup, just in the sense that you got two teams that are roughly kind of right around the same competitiveness, I guess I would give a little bit of an advantage to Chesterton, just because they've kind of been on that roll a little bit. But one thing that works for Lake Central is they're going to be juiced up a little bit more. It's going to be homecoming over there.
Right, and I mean, homecoming, it's kind of a blessing and a curse in my opinion. I mean, I say as a player, of course, it is a fun week, especially if, for those seniors out there, you're dressing up, you have your dress days, you have your theme days, whatever that may be, and you get to the game, and whatever, it's a long day, of course, you got a pep rally, you got a parade, whatever that may be, but it kind of throws you off your rhythm. Football is a game about rhythm, and it's a game about, okay, this is my routine. I get to the field then. I don't care about this class. Now I got to worry about a shortened class and who knows what. It throws off your whole week, and it kind of, again, it's fun for the seniors. It's fun for everybody, we should say. It brings the whole community out, and we're expecting a show tomorrow night at Lake Central, but it's tough to be on that side. And for Chesterton, we kind of talked about in the RSN zone last week, it gives you a little bit of added motivation. You want to rain on their parade, and Chesterton, again, this is a team that could run the football. I want to say their leading receiver, who is Govia, I want to say he has 87 receiving yards. That's their leading receiver. So they stick to running the football, and they do it pretty well over there. CJ Perez is their new quarterback, who had a great week last week, again, in relief of Brady McCormick, who they're still trying to work over, again, after that injury a few weeks ago. Lake Central, again, it's going to be a game where who's going to control the clock. And Chesterton, we know they can run the football. We know not a lot of balls are going to hit the ground. The clock's going to be running a lot in Lake Central. You got to take advantage of when you have the football. Cam Reddick's going to have to step up. They looked great in the fourth quarter last week, but again, you cannot start flat if you're Lake Central, because again, in a game like this, a lot of emotions are flying high. It's a long week, and you don't want to start out flat, especially in front of your home crowd, which is going to be a fun show tomorrow night.
Well, it'll be interesting, trying to go up against that offensive line for Lake Central as well. You got one of the top guys that's kind of going through a little bit of trying to figure out where he wants to go next year, but Jimmy Johnson's certainly making a lot of noise on that left side of that offensive line.
Yeah, that's going to be a game. That's going to be a matchup I look out for. Jimmy Johnson and Owen Edlin, another guy that is looking to be. Hey, Owen Edlin's got some looks at the next level as well. Jimmy Johnson, too. That's an X-factor matchup. Of course, edge rushers are huge in this conference, especially against a team that throws the ball a decent amount. Again, Michigan City, 10.5 sacks last week against Lake Central. They're going to have to tie that down because Owen Edlin's a guy to look out for, similar to kind of Adrian Holly in terms of talent, especially on the edge.
All right, the last one we've got here on the Region Sports Network, and it's going to be a good one. You got two of the top 4 teams in our RSN poll, 2 of the top 3 teams in the Duneland Athletic Conference doing battle. This will kind of give you maybe the number 2 spot in the conference, but it's the Valparaiso Vikings heading over to the Purple Palace and taking on the Maryville Pirates.
Ooh, that's a good one. I mean, these two teams, it's always a absolute slugfest between these two teams, to say the least. It's going to be probably a collision course to hopefully meet again in the regional championship, but they have to play this game first, and this is the big prove-it game for both sides. Maryville's been playing some pretty solid football as of late. Again, a big win last week against LaPorte after kind of a scare against Michigan City 2 weeks ago, and Valparaiso, obviously, they're looking to respond big time after that big loss against Crown Point. Maryville, not an easy place to play. These are two teams that could run the football as well. Maryville, I think I like their two-headed backfield a little bit in this. They got Cam Jordan as well as J.Q. Johnson, 2 running backs who are non-seniors. Jordan's only a sophomore while Johnson's only a junior. I like that a lot. I'm watching those two play. Cam Jordan especially, only a sophomore, one of the better running backs I'd say in the area, even at his age. But Thomas Berta over there at Valparaiso, he's kind of a do-it-all guy as well. He's a bell cow over there, while Maryville, they'll switch guys in and out. We should be a good one. We're happy to show it to you guys in the RSN. Again, this is kind of the first chapter of hopefully 2 this season between those two teams. Again, they're hoping to meet in the regional championship when that time comes.
All right, looking forward to it. I believe we have the return of the RSN zone coming up this week as well tomorrow. So that'll be fun. It was it was very entertaining to do that last week, kind of getting a sense of looking at both games, and then giving you kind of talking over both and giving you a little dive into the entire Northwest Indiana football landscape there. So it was a lot of fun last week. Can't wait to be able to take part in that again tomorrow evening. But that's going to wrap things up here
for now. Yeah. So we're here for a reason. The Region Sports on the road. This is after this a little bit. Once we're currently we're in the Whiting's cafeteria right now, and they're kind of getting ready for prep night over here, kind of what we call it. Again, they're practicing right now, the Whiting football team, and then they kind of trickle their way over here. They got a meal waiting for them. Again, Team Mom's here as well. Everybody kind of helping out. Touchdown Club, whatever you kind of call it for Whiting, and it's kind of a full affair. But we're going to kind of step aside here for a little bit. But we're going to have interviews for coaches and players and stuff like that. Andrew Miles here as well as us too. You'll see us a little bit, but we're going to be talking with some players, and as they kind of trickle in here. But yeah, that's all we got for Region Football Weekly. Again, another week in the book. books just like that, man.
Yeah, it flies by. Can't wait to get this one going. The reason we're here in the cafeteria is because Rich Castillo knows the cafeteria workers personally, and he gets in here whenever he wants with some of the cafeteria food. Right. So it always works out perfectly when we need connections for cafeterias and stuff like that. Nobody like Rich Castillo. All right, big thanks to Ixa Coffee Roasters helping us get set for this one here today. But that will wrap up Region Football Weekly for our for our executive producer, Chris Ramirez, our operations manager, and on-site cafeteria go-to guy that is Rich Castillo. We've got Justin Cole here, Zach Miller, and, of course, we got our sports director, Mike Dewan, in the house. Zach Zanelli's over here as well. Andrew Miles hanging out. We're going to do some interviews here in just a little while. So for our sports director, Mike Dewan, I'm Michael Brandner. You've been tuned into Region Football Weekly. Stay tuned. Plenty more here from Whiting High School on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.